Today on Magic DMZ Curse Warfare, we are going to be looking at a mechanic called Command. The mechanic I created. It's not currently in the game of Magic, but it might be a great mechanic. We'll go ahead and talk. I'll talk about this, how the mechanic works, and how in all 70 cards I've created. Now, if you have a card you think it might be a great commander for it, you can go ahead and put that down in the comments down below. I think it is there. And I'll go to the sets here. It is Command. There are 76 cards in this set technically, but there are, I think, 6 of them are tokens, if I remember correctly. Command, we'll start off at the very front here. There apparently are quite a few commons in this as well. I think those are tokens, if I remember correctly. Daniel, not like this. Let me see here. But the mechanic Command is a interesting mechanic on now. Command works like this. It is a way you can play as your you can play a creature that has command as your commander, or you can play it in a regular deck commander. And what the command does, it allows you to play a card as whatever colors you want. It includes all colors that a card already is, but it will have all the color. You can use whatever colors you want in it, up to the maximum amount. I believe it allows me to. I might have to go reverse order here. I believe I have 70 cards. There are a few other additional ones as well. And they've changed. I think they've changed the site since the last time I did one of these videos. So don't know whether it is the right thing or not. That could make it difficult for me. But basically, Command works. You choose whatever card you want, whatever the colors of that card you want. It can be any colors that you want that card to be. It cannot be more than what the mana cost is. And I have to go back to the thing because it did not work out well. And I have 70 cards. We'll go over all of them in this mechanic here. Making it a little difficult for me. We'll reverse order them. One. To sets. Or whatever we can get them in. order here. I'll do it this way. Alright, so the first one we got is Okama Dragon Lord. It has command, and the text that says, when this creature enters or you choose this creature as your commander, you choose that creature's colors. So, for example, this card specifically, you can choose any 4 colors you want. You don't have to choose 4 colors. You can choose 1 color, you can choose 2 colors, you can choose 3, you can choose 4. And the effect allows you to play it as it. Now, you still have to follow commander rules. The commander rules still apply. So, unfortunately, you still have to follow the commander rules. The commander tax is still technically in effect. This one has flying. It's a 3/4. It costs 4. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 2/2 white dragon with token with flying. And that's what this one is right here. That's a token. I think there's several on that. That is what that card does. It's an uncommon. Now, I feel like a uncommon is fair in that one because it does cost more, and you probably going to choose multiple different colors for it. It could be a rare if we wanted to make a concept on that, but I have it as an uncommon. Let's go with card number 2, and I may put these in completely different orders, and there may be cards in here that don't have the actual correct text on the very bottom. So it says 001 uncommon command, and one of them might not have command, and one of them might not have comments. I'm not going to go back and find Korma, Goblin Master. I'm not going to go read the text again, but every one of these is going to have command, which is an effect, of course, that allows you to play whatever colors you want. Now, this one can have up to 3 colors. And when you cast a spell with 3 or less mana, you create a 1/1 goblin. I point this way, every one of these is intended to be the commander, but it doesn't have to be the commander. If you don't want to be the commander, you don't have to put it as the commander. That is completely up to you whether you want it to be your commander or not. Next cards are the Dragon, which is a 2/2 Dragon, which is created by the Dragon Lord. This one, and then Goblin, which is created by the Goblin Master. When you cast a spell of mana of 3 or less mana. I may have worded the cards wrong. That will be correct before I print the cards, if I ever do print the cards. We got Mist Cat Dragon. I don't really know how those two work together, but they work that way. Whenever you tap a land, let me put this down a little bit here. For mana, untap it if you cast a spell with 4 more mana cost. So if something costs more than 4, that's any spell costs 4 more, then you get to untap it. You can only do it once per turn though, so it does have a restriction. But if it costs 4, I don't think I have a creature card anywhere in here, but if a card does cost 4, then you get to play. Looks like I have one. So, for example, if you want to cast let's say this card, the Shower of the Night. This costs 6. So if you did this one, you wouldn't be able to play because there's very low likelihood you're gonna be able to play a 3-color deck in this card. I don't think you can legally play this card in this kind of deck. But if you tap land for mana, you untap it if you cast a spell with 1 more mana cost. So if you were able to play this card, you would be able to untap all lands you control once per turn. when you tap, actually, I should say whatever probably. Whenever you tap a land for mana, untap it if you cast a spell more in it. So basically, you get one spell for free in context. It isn't a very good card in my opinion. It's a 3/2. It's decent. That's why I put this in uncommon. We got Josalo. It's an 8/8 for 7. So you could put this all 5 colors, or you could put just one color. You don't have to play it all the way up there. You don't have to play it that much. You can put it, it's huge, but it has the ability of haste, which is 7, and you can deal 3 damage to any target twice. So you can do 6 damage every turn. This guy's on the field. This is a dinosaur. Pretty big. Honestly, uncommon is I don't think it's unreasonable for this card because of the context that it's going to take so long to get it out that by the time you get through them, they'll do it twice, pretty much. And still can be destroyed, just like it doesn't have hexproof or anything like that. We got Maltray. It's a flying vigilance, pay 1, scry 1. It's a cat dragon, which could be up to 3 mana colors. Actually, now that I read it, you could put it at all 5 colors, I believe, because technically that symbol makes it have 2 colors. If I understand how Commander works, you can technically play as white or blue, which means it's a white-blue creature, but with Command, you can make all 5 colors if you wanted to, because you have white, blue, and then 3 other colors. Maybe just 4 colors. But it doesn't do much, it just says scry 1, which is why I think it's uncommon. Alright, we got the Elemental Rager. Oh, jeez. Yeah, so this card's ridiculous, I believe. That's why I put it as a rare, at least. Honestly, it could be more than that. Whenever an element, specifically, you have to make a deck its elements before this one, but you can play all 5 colors you want to, so you can do 5 color elementals if you want to. When a elemental enters, create a copy of that creature except they can't block. So basically, it has, I don't remember what the text for that is, but it basically is unable to block. I don't remember what the actual terminology is, but it's can't block, and it is, I'm going a little bit, a 7/7, and as you see the quorum, there's no C, it's in the stat, but it's command. I didn't put the right thing for it. Alright, next card we got is going to be Elemental Attacker. It's also an elemental base deck. It's red, it can be 5 colors. Whenever an elemental attacks, deal 1 damage to each opponent, and other creature. And other creature. I believe it's supposed to be each other creature. Just point that out. Again, I have to word it. I worded the thing wrong. Each opponent, each other creature. Or it could be another creature, I guess. On the context. It's 4/5 elemental dragon. So I believe it's supposed to be each other creature. So it does 1 damage to all creatures, and then yeah. We got the winged elemental. Elemental attack. Wait. When an elemental attacks, draw cards equal to the number of cards you drew this turn. So you can draw 2 cards. You can draw up to 3 cards each turn whenever it just for attacking, because you will have 6 mana to do it, which means it's enough to play an all 5 color deck if you want to. And because of how command works, you can play all 5 colors if you want to. Even though this card is blue, it can be all 5 colors because of its mana cost. And it's a 5/5. Allows you to draw a bunch of cards. Could be a really good deck. Could not be. We got the Darkest Elemental. Oh boy. This is uncommon. Whenever a creature enters, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. It's drain. It drains a bunch of stuff down. When a creature enters, each opponent loses 5 hits. So if you are making a deck of elementals or any creatures that just get a bunch of stuff out here, you can drain your opponent down as much as you want because you can keep doing it. Now, if you get, for example, if you're doing a black-red deck, I'm just saying that's probably what the colors are because it does have to be black. Then you can basically play. I'll play 1, 1, 1. You lose 6 life, and I gain 6 life, and it's a pretty good creature for that mechanic. All right, the next one. We got the Lightning Elemental. When another creature enters, you place a 1 counter on it. It's a mythic. I don't know why. I made this mythic. I don't know why I made that a mythic. It's a 4/4. It doesn't have anything special. It has flying. It didn't. Oh no, it doesn't have flying. So why is it a mythic? I don't know. You place a 1 counter on that creature when it enters, but it means it's just +1. I would lower this one. I would say this is probably a lot lower. I mean, yes, it could be really good if you make a deck based on putting 1/1 counters on stuff, but this is probably not a mythic. I think I would disagree and say this is not a mythic. But honestly, it still puts 1/1 counter on every creature. We've got ourselves the Red Dragon. Other red creatures have first strike, and it itself has first strike. So other red creatures have first strike, and it has first strike. So basically, everything has first strike. Interesting, isn't it? And you can put it in a 5-card deck if you want to. If you want to make an entire deck of dragons, then you can do that. Let's go with Blue Dragon. Blue Dragon gives all your other blue creatures hexproof, and it itself has hexproof. Well, okay. Interesting for a card mechanic. Again, you can make a deck completely of dragons. It's a 3/5, has hexproof. Not really a think it's necessary for it, but hexproof. It's a great mechanic. I do think it's not a bad one. It is an uncommon, mostly because I think most commanders are considered or at least uncommon. I think there's 2 commanders in the history of Magic that are legendary creatures that could be commanders that are common. We got Green Dragon. Green creatures have reach. It's a 7/3 gives all your green creatures reach. Make a Green Dragon deck that makes all your creatures reach. Because dragons really need that. Because a lot of dragons don't have flying. I feel like that's kind of useless, but anyways, it's a green dragon that gives everything green creatures reach. All right, Croc Warrior. This is probably one of the weaker commanders. Oh, it's uncommon, that's why. Yeah. This card's terrible. First off, it can only be 3 colors at most. It can be green, blue, and then one other color. And creatures you control get +0/+2. So your creatures are a little tougher. That is Great. That does not help anything. I would not play this commander. I don't know where I even would I even try to play this commander anywhere because this is not good. So kick that one. All right, we got Lamena, Land Dragon. Oh, this makes everything a shock land. Lands enter tapped unless the controller pays 2 life. So if you want to play shock lands, here you go. Here's your commander. Everything is a shock land now. They enter tapped unless they pay 2 life. So make everything a shock land and make your opponent really hate you. Actually, make yourself probably hate yourself too. Unless you want to make a deck that's all about pain and suffering. This is a commander that's kind of like that. It only can be 3 colors, but in context, you need green, black, and what's the other land color? Maybe white? I don't know. But in looking at this, this is probably not commander everyone's gonna try to make you say nope, don't want to play you. All right, Shirba. Oh my gosh! Creatures you control have vigilance and lifelink, which means itself has vigilance and lifelink. And it's a 4-cost creature, which means you could technically be 5 colors because of the way the color mechanic works. Oh my gosh! So everything doesn't tap when it attacks and has lifelink on top of that. It's a 2/4. Not the best creature out there, but sheesh. Give your creatures vigilance lifelink. That's pretty powerful. From the context here. Alright, we got Meowza. Meowza could be up to 4 colors. Creatures have haste. No, creatures you control gets haste for free. It's a 3/2. Yeah, okay. I don't really know why you ever want to play this creature. It beats a commander if you have really powerful creatures and you can get stuff out quickly. But not really sure where you're going to use this card. I mean, crankly, it can be 4 colors, so you can choose black, red, white. But in context, this is not really going to be one of those commanders you're going to say, I want to play this as my commander. I mean, at some point, maybe. Next card we got is going to be Shoka Token. Oh my goodness. So there would be a token for this as well. That it would be copy. I don't know if I have a copy anywhere. Let's see. That's a theory. No, I don't have a copy. But whew, it's pay 4. So you pay 4, which means it could technically be 3 colors. It can't. 4 colors. It can't be more than 4 colors. Oh, create a token that's a copy of another creature except it's legendary. So you got a bunch of cards. If you want to make a Dragon Warrior deck or some really powerful creature, which makes it probably a white deck, then you've got a huge, big thing here. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. It says isn't legendary. That's I had to correct myself. It says isn't legendary. So you can play any combo of this card, creating copies of a 2/3 creature with out-of-air abilities, or you can play a copy of a legendary creature that's not legendary. So if you want to play that might be a little bit broken. Yeah, let's see. That's pretty powerful. For this card, that might be one of the most broken commanders that we have actually seen so far. And oh boy. So if I were going to scale this, I'm probably just going to scale it. This guy is up really high up there. If I do scale 1 to 10, this guy's probably at like 8 or 9. It's not too expensive, and it creates copies for its mana cost. So yeah, I think our card's pretty high up there. Alright, next we got Otter Commander, which gives your creature's prowess. So cast as much spell as you want, because it's a 2/2 creature and gives everything else prowess. And it does say when you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+0. So every creature you control is going to get +1/+0. Is it a good card? I don't know. I mean, in context, this is one of those cards that's going to be very difficult to play with, because the context it is going to take a very long time to really get this out in the field. But in context, it's actually, I think, a pretty balanced, good commander if we get to the point. I would probably put in the middle somewhere, probably in the 6 range, because of the context. It does have it will be a long time before you get to play this. Alright, Legend Wizard. Oh my. You would mainly play this in a blue-red deck, but you can play this in a 4-color deck. You could technically play this in a spell-based deck if you want to make a black, white, red, blue-red deck. You can do so, and you will likely want to do this because of the context of what it does. Either you draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards, so you could just, I guess, kind of surveil 2, somewhat like that. Or you can deal 3 damage to target player for 1 more mana. So for your mana, for its cost, you can deal 3 damage to your player. They're on a clock if you get to this card. It's a 4/2. It's not great because it does cost a lot, and it's not hexproof or anything like that. But being able to filter your hand is a pretty good ability. I'm going to say this is probably one of the better cards. For context, I'm going to say this is probably a 7 out of 10 on this one. It's not the best card. It is only 1 card creature type, but still pretty powerful. Next card we got Lightning Butterfly. What? This is a deck where you want to make an infect-based deck, and it is already technically 2 colors. On the context, it could be up to 4 colors, I believe, because it does have green in the corner, so I guess it does have to be technically white, at least white-green. It is not flying. That doesn't make any sense. It does have flying. Never mind. It does have flying. It's a 1/1 that has flying that gives itself infect, which deals damage equal to creatures as poison counters, to your players, or to creatures as -1/1 counters. I don't think it's a terrible card. I don't think it's a very good card. I'm going to say that's probably a 4 because in context, it's not going to be one of those best cards in there. Although, technically, I will point this way. It only works for itself. Never mind. It has Lightning Butterfly gains in effect until end of turn. So, yeah. Maybe if you combined it with another commander or another base deck, maybe a blue-green deck with making something in effect, maybe. I don't think it's going to be great. We have got ourselves Charger Speed Horse. Charger Speed Horse, in context, gives creatures haste and riot, which is really means it enters with 1 counter on it, and it has haste, and it has first strike as well. Because the real definition of riot is this creature enters with a 1/1 counter or it gains haste. So technically, it could be up to 5 cards if you want to. I would say this is probably a 6 or 7 because of the context. I mean, haste and riot really does exact. It just basically says this creature has haste and enters a 1/1 counter. It doesn't. There's no reason to have an extra thing for it. I probably didn't realize that. That's probably why it's a mythic. And I think it's fair to say it's mythic. I would say 6 or 7 for this creature because it does have first strike as well. We got Khan the Attacker. Oh gosh. Okay, so this card is actually pretty good. It can only be 2 colors, and generally it actually prefers that it actually must be 2 colors because it must be red green because of the color identity. I guess you could technically make it okay. When a creature enters the battlefield, you choose the creature's colors, enters in certain colors, and including the commander's identity. And now I think about it, technically, I'm looking at command. If I'm reading command correctly, it can be all 5 colors if you want it to be. So I'm going to actually alter that. You still have to pay the right mana cost for it, but it can be all 5 colors. I realize I'm reading command wrong. It does say when this creature enters chosen colors, so you can choose all 5 colors if you want it to be. Theoretically, it's probably better to do just do 2 colors in this case because there's no point, and red green would be the best option. When it attacks or blocks, you add 2 color points to your mana pool. It's an uncommon, it's not great. Teat. This card is This card's probably a 3 because of the context of what it does here. You tap it to make each opponent lose 3 life. It has trample, so but here's the thing. You attack with it. You can make so either if your commander would die because your creature has their opponent is playing a bunch of creatures with Death Touch, well, you don't want to attack it, so you just tap it for 3. Yeah. It does have trample, so I guess if it's a 1/1, it's like, oh, it's still doing 6 damage to you. But this character does allow you to win the game, basically, if you want to, because it can just make your opponent lose the game pretty easily. I don't think this is a great commander. If you're all playing as Death Touch, this card's actually pretty good. It does cost 5, but yeah, that's pretty powerful, I think, for it. We got Herd of Rhino. It has Vigilance, Menace, and creatures you control can't be blocked with power 4 or greater. I'm sorry, what? Creatures you control can't be blocked by power 4 or greater. So, buff all your opponent's creatures up, you can't block. So if your opponent's playing with a really powerful deck, your creatures cannot be blocked. Oof, that's pretty, geesh. It's not the best card. I still say it's probably a 6 or 7 because of the context that it is Vigilance Miss, and your creatures can't be blocked as long as it. But if you're playing against a really cheap deck, that really doesn't mean much. All right. I don't even know. Bihelu? Let's see. Balu. Okay, it's an ox, whatever. It's a legendary artifact creature with command that says blue creatures get +4/+4. So this creature is a 5/5 creature for 5. And other creatures you control are also +4/+4. So you get your Merfolk here. Yeah, your Merfolk that's regular 2/2 is now a 6/6. Oof, that's pretty strong. It is, however, going to have a little bit of weakness because it is also an artifact. I'm still pretty strong off in that context for it. We got Blackhawk. Called Blackhawk. Critical creatures gets +2/+3. It has flying. It is now also, it's also 5/5 for 4. Let me look my notes off of that. Okay. The notes I have for this say that command is, it cannot be more than the colors you have. I'm sorry if I'm informing you incorrectly. The way command works is you must play cards for the command, the maximum of your command's cost. So if your commander is 4 costs, it cannot be more than 4 colors. Unless the card itself has more than 1 color on it. So if the card has a little pip saying either red or green or whatever it is, then it can be, and you have an option for 5 colors, then it can be 5 colors. But the way this card would be, it can only be a maximum 4 colors. I'll put that in the comments down below as well for this video. Alright, we got Tail Swiper. It's a green. It gives a creature +2/+2. It's a dinosaur. Yep. No much to say about that. We've got ourselves Speed Demon. Oh my gosh. It gives your creature, red creatures +5/+4. Well, it explains why it costs so much. It costs 8 to get onto the field. But good grief. Putting your dead deck and your creatures are all insane. It doesn't get them trample. Thankfully. But, yeesh. That is insane. Oh, and also we can just go white lighting. White mine off top is. That makes your creature 6/6s. Makes this creature a 6/6. It has hexproof, and other white creatures also get +2/+3. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Might have a little bit of a problem with that. We got Snow Fox. Oh. So normally what would happen is you wouldn't be able to play this because of the context of how Snowlands work. Snowlands were only in like 1 set, I think. And but it does say on the card, it can be 3 colors, and lands you control are Snowlands. They add snow. And you can also pay 2 to make a creature that makes target creature not be able to block this turn. Not the best commander on there, but it is a 3/3. Pretty good. Not pretty good. That's a not bad card, right? Alright, we got an Armored Knight. Attacking creatures have first strike. So all your creatures that are attacking have first strike. Your defending creatures, never mind. But your Armored Knight means all your attacking creatures have first strike. And first strike is they deal damage prior to the opponent's creatures who don't have first strike. Or double strike first. We got... Is that 7 cost? King of Knights. Oh my gosh. I may have worded this one wrong, but let me just say it is a 7 cost creature. So you can make it 5 colors, you can make it 1 color if you want. Destroy target creature. Creature loses all abilities until their turn. So in the context, I may have worded that wrong, but in basic context, destroy target creature. It doesn't matter what abilities they have because it destroys it. Even if it has indestructible or hexproof or shroud, I guess. It destroys it. It's pretty expensive for a 3/3. Yeah. Landmaster, move down a little bit. Landmaster, oh goodness, is a mythic, and I think there's a very good reason why it's a mythic. It basically makes everything every land you control Black Lotus. That's basically what it is. It's a Chain Link, it can be all 5 colors. Lands you control all become Black Lotuses. Except for they're not going to be sacrificed. Oh. Because that means that your swamp now adds 3 black mana, your mountain adds 3 red mana, your forest adds 3 green mana, you get the point. And land you control adds 3 mana of what they would normally add. Oh my goodness, this would be broke. This is gonna be a broke. This card's broken. Okay, let me just put this. This is a 10 because if you have a 2-color land, well, no, I think it doesn't do that way because it does say 3 mana of what that would normally add. So it does. I think it only allows you to do 1 of the colors, but still. That's a Black Lotus on. You have every land you control is now a Black Lotus, except you don't sacrifice it. Oof, power. The copy. Whenever a player casts a creature spell, you create a copy of that creature on your field. What? That is also pretty broken. I mean, 7 costs is going to be difficult to destroy a creature. I guess you don't want the creature, you can do that. But, basically, your opponent is never going to be able to deal damage to you because unless they cast a bunch of cards that create tokens, that would be creating it. That's ridiculous. I'm going to say that's pretty broken too. Not as broken as one of the cards, as the last card was, but it's definitely a 9. Because if I cast a creature spell, I create a copy of it, that you cast. So basically, we're just going to be bouncing off of each other. That's a goodness, pretty powerful. It's basically kind of like I'm gonna delay the game as long as I want to do it. It's only 1/1, so I guess you could still destroy it. It doesn't have hex proof or anything like that. But if you do have it, yeesh. Elf Immortal. Creatures you control are indestructible, and you can pay 1 to discard a card, and your creature's hex proof. So they can't be destroyed regularly, and you can also make sure they're not able to be targeted by board wipes. Yeah, and that could be a 5-color commander too. My goodness, that's not the best. That's not very good. That's not a great one, but it's still a pretty good one. Shadow Ninja. Creatures you control get -2/-0, so they're a little bit weaker and can't be blocked. So this creature is a 3/3 that can't be blocked. And to be honest, I think that's broken. I think that's a broken card. It's automatically going to be. It could be 5 colors. These are the colors you would want it to be. You would want it to be blue, black normally, probably. But good grief! Oh my goodness. Yeah, let me just say, ouch. That's huge. The darkness. This partners with the light, so you do have to have 2 creatures in this deck. This card can technically be 5 colors too, I think. It enters with X 1/1 counters, so whatever you pay, oh goodness, it only costs 1. When it leaves the battlefield, each opponent gets creature your opponent controls. Or get -X -0 to the end of turn. I will point out, you wouldn't be able to pay just 1 black for this because it doesn't work that way because your creature would immediately die. And then when it dies, all the other creatures your opponent control will get -0/-0. It is partnered with the light though. And the bite says, oh boy. The light enters with 2 1/1 counters, so it's a 4/4. It does not have flying. It's important to note. It's an angel, but does not have flying. Exile a target creature and then return to the battlefield with 2/1 counters. So if it's a flicker, it flickers one creature and returns it back to the battlefield with 2/1 counters. And that is that's broken if you can get. If you partner with darkness, you keep flickering this out with 2/1 counters. Then it dies, and then you flicker it out because is that right? Or you exile it and return to the battlefield. I don't think that actually dies in that case, so it wouldn't actually just flicker it because it says leave the battlefield. This card's broken. Holy mackerel! Because all you would do is you lick it, use this card and this card. These cards are broken. You flicker it out. All creatures your opponent control gets -2/-2. You put it back in the field. You can only do this once per turn, but all the creatures your opponent control are weak. When it comes back, it has 2/1 counters on it. So you can cast this normally for 3 mana, let's just say, and it has 2/1 counters on it. Flicker it out, and you just continue doing that. You can only do this once per turn, but that's still pretty broken. That's broken. All right, we got ourselves the Kanga, Cleric of Savannah. If you discard a card, you can cast it for 2 less. And it can't be blocked as a 7/7. I create all these cards, and I'm like, what was I thinking? So if you discard a card, I don't know if is that right. The way I would read that is that you would be able to just discard a card and cast it for 2 less. Yikes. That's pretty broken. We got Semiko, which gets +1/+1 for each experience card that has. It normally just has it. So if you're playing a deck that has a bunch of experience counters on it, which is a thing, yeah. That might do something. I don't know what experience counters do regularly. But you got 2. You can put 2 experience counters on it every turn, and it has hexproof, so it can't be really targeted. We got Mana Wolf, which is another mythic. Move down here. 3/3. Each land you control also adds green. In addition, an additional green. So your red now adds a green. Your green now adds 2 green. Your blue adds blue-green, your black adds black-green, and your white adds white-green. Yeah, this is not great, but it does cost 2, which means it's easy to get out. And it can only be 2 colors, technically. But, yeah. That's still pretty good. I mean, you get an additional. Basically, you can play any 2-cost spell that's green for free, or for just 1 land. That's pretty good. Spike Demon. This puts its card that likes to put a bunch of -1/1 counters on creatures. It has partner. Oh, I wonder what we could partner with this with. Pay 1, place a -1 counter on a target creature. It only costs 2. I guess you could put it itself if you want to. It is indestructible. It does not matter when it comes to -1/1 counters because it just says, okay, it has -1/1 counters. Okay, so it has 2 of them. It's dead. Indestructible doesn't have that effect on it. It has hexproof too. Partner means that you can partner with another creature that has partner. Could be pretty broken. I don't know. Light God. Oh no. This is crazy. It's Light God. This might be crazy. You got so you can put +1 to minus to put a So you can basically you can cancel. You can hurt your opponent with this creature, knock your creature down, and then you can also cancel your own anything that happens off that. You can have two commanders that both have partner. It's hexproof and first strike, not particularly great, but still not a bad mechanic. We have Water God, also has partner. Oh my. Creatures you control get +0, +3 until end of turn. So pay itself, and it becomes each of your creatures +3/+3. Okay, it's creature. It says creature you control. It has creature. It does not say creature. So creature you control. So it's only one creature. The way it's worded. Yeah, so it's only one creature. It doesn't say target creature, but it says it should be to target creature you control gets +3/+3 turn. But still, yikes. Imagine that being, if you were able to make infinite blue mana, or actually just infinite mana, period. You've got an infinite board of creatures that all have infinite power, pretty much. Doesn't have trample. We got the Infinity Knight, which creates Night Storm tokens. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's out of the card. When Infinity Knight enters, create a Night Sword token. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and equipped for 2. I don't know if I had that somewhere, but it gives your creature +2/+2, makes it 5/5 in this case. And you can create a Night Sword token for 2 mana. Woof! And it does, however, cost quite a bit of mana for that one. I don't know. That would be an interesting card to try to cast as your commander. We got Doubling Rabbit. When Doubling Rabbit enters, create a 1/1 rabbit for each other rabbit control. So pick a rabbit deck. This would partner really well with a rabbit bait, with a new rabbit that's in the effect of, I don't remember what it's called. That you can have as many copies you want, and whenever a rabbit enters, it gives you another rabbit. I mean, Doubling Rabbit, that does make sense for rabbits, because rabbits do like to duplicate, or duplicate really well. But you can just flicker it. Flicker for 3, which is the same much that it really costs, and you get another one rabbit. And if you have more rabbit, if you did it later, you have more rabbits. Congratulations. It's just, there's a rabbit. There's a token rabbit. We have Flying Squirrel, costs 2. So it's 2 different colors. And when you cast a spell, Flying Squirrel gets it gets 1. It's 1. That's supposed to be +1/+1, and it gets flying until end of turn. I was like, 1. It gets 1. It is +1/+1. It's flying. Woo. We got Doom Master. Oh boy, what does this one do? It has command, of course. You can make a creature -1, get a -1 counter on target creature. When you place the -1 counter on a creature you control, each target player loses 2 life, and whenever you place it on a creature you don't control, you lose 2 life. So it is, I'm going to give give target creature -2 minutes. Whoever who controls it loses 2 life. If it's not me, I lose 2 life. If it's you, you lose 2 life. If it's me, I lose 2. Wow. All right, Ursula the Rager. Lands you control are 2/2s in addition to their types, and lands you control are also indestructible. Make your creatures all 2/2s. Make them indestructible. Seems really good. Probably not as great as you get because it does cost 6 mana, but you can play it. That's pretty. I think that's pretty. That's not a bad card though. Golden Dragon. Oh gosh, this card's like it's like infinite if we get to it, I believe, because the way it's worded. Exile all cards of the one card type until then. Wait. Other than Gold Dragon, they return them to the battlefield under their owner's return. So it flickers everything. And it says, alright. It has all cards of one card type too. Now that does mean that anything that's a token would just go gone. It's gone because there's no, because it's exiles. If it exiles one of them, there's no way to put them back on the field. Oh my goodness! But if it's exiling cards means you get all your cards back. Unfortunately, if you do cast like a creature that says exile target creature, I'm going to exile all the enchantments, then your opponent gets to choose a new target if you want to. I believe that way that works, because it would re-enter the field at that time. Pretty good. Treasure Mimic. This card's terrible. I'm just going to say that. It's terrible. At the beginning of your upkeep, you create a treasure token for each artifact you control. If you're playing an artifact deck, it's good. Otherwise, who cares? Alright, we got Dragon Samurai. It is first strike, and whenever Dragon Samurai or another dragon, or another samurai, that is like this, attacks alone point, it gets +3/+3. So double this creature's power or do something else. It can only be 4 colors. And it requires at least 3 from the context. Okay, we got ourselves the Armored Hound. Ugh. Let's see what we got here. Enter the 2 counters, and then begin your upkeep. You double all counters on creatures you control. Ah! That is insane. So this creature regularly is a 6/4. It's basically a 6/4 because they enter the 2 counters. But it doubles all counters on creatures you control. Now there are cards that say remove all counters, but this card can be any of the decks. If you're playing artifacts or counters, green counters, anything like that, this card is absolutely broken. It is only a rare, but still, you've got a 6/4 for 5 that doubles every turn, so you've got a 6/4 that becomes a 8/4, no, a 6/2 that becomes an 8/4, then becomes a 16 something. It's that card's actually broken. Pretty Fox. That's a lot of mana. That costs a lot of mana. Yeah. Oh, there's a reason. It partners with Strong Fox. When it attacks, you may draw 6 cards. Oh, I remember how I did these. These are really cool. They have, when your hand is full, that is 7 more cards. Because that's what you start with in the name of Magic. Yeah. Creature control gets double strike, lifelink, and vigilance. And I remember I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was watching this card, and I was like, this might be really interesting. I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! The 5Ds, I believe. But, holy mackerel. And it partners with Strong Fox. So if you happen, it does cost a lot. But Strong Fox costs theoretically 2, and it also gives you no hand size. No hand limit, Max. When your hand is full, your creature's haste. Put those 2 creatures together, and that is very broken. They're both legendary creatures, and this is a 12/12. So you have lethal on board almost with these creatures together. Well, actually, you will have lethal on board if you have this creature on, period. So, yeah. Alright, I got Dragon Merfolk. Dragon Merfolk is... Oh, there's several other planets. I think I have 4 or 5 of these. Target land becomes an island and a forest, which means you would target your opponent and say, okay, your land is now an island and a forest, and now you can't block any of my creatures. Because each creature you control has Island Walker and Forest Walker, which means the defending players that have an island or a forest can't make it with block. And that is one of the 3 or 4 I think I have this one. That is a pretty broken card. It's rare. It's not one of those cards. I mean, you've got the ability to destroy it. And it's permanent. So target land becomes that. It does not give it. It's not. It's, so you can make it, or you can just make it so your opponent can't block. Number 2 in this one is going to be the Goblin Dragon, which is similar to this, except it's the same thing, except it does Mountain and Swamp instead, and it's a 1/3. Yeah, it's the same thing otherwise, though. Dark Fairy, I think it's only, maybe just those 2. This card is, when you draw a card, each opponent loses 3 life. It is a really painful thing, because you can also just pay life. Because if you start the game off right now, let's just say that you happen to play this on the field, turn 3, no one's lost any life. Let's see, do I have another die here? I do. If we did 20, let's just say you happen to play. If you started off, you have 40 life. I don't think I have enough to do both of those, but I'm just trying to figure out how this would make it would be pretty. I think this would be broken. Let me see how it read this. Dark Fairy. So you draw. Actually, theoretically, you could draw your entire. You can draw as many cards. Let's say you draw half your hand. You draw 10 cards. You lose 20 life. Your opponent loses. Yeah, so your opponent is down to 10 life if you happen to be able to draw that. This card's broken, because then you can just do. You lose 2. You lose 2 more life. So you're now down to 18. Your opponent is down to now 7. You do it again. Your opponent is now down to 4. And you do it again. Your opponent is down to 1. Do it again. So you can draw, if you basically, as soon as this card comes out, you win the game. Because if you're playing Commander, because the context how this card works. Unless you're really far down. I'm like, that's, I think this card's broken. I think Uncommon's unfair for this one. Because honestly, I feel like that's actually probably really broken. It's going to be 3 colors, but do you really need to be 3 colors? I mean, I'm gonna make it black. I'm gonna choose this black. I will do 3 turns from now. I will go ahead and pay all my life. Apply as much life I want to until all of you are dead. Because each opponent. Butterfly Swarm. Butterfly Swarm says, at the beginning of your upkeep, you get a 1/1 Butterfly token, which I did not create a Butterfly token for this. When a creature dies, you gain 2 life. And it's fun. It basically makes it so you just don't lose off the context. You have. It's not going to give you. It's not a creature flying, but you sacrifice it, you gain 2 life. Or somehow. I don't know how to pronounce this. Perspellet Dog. This is one of those terms you can play for 3 different colors, and you can play 5 colors if you want to. If you cast 3 or more spells on your turn, they cast spells for 0, for free. So basically, put this way, and you can also play it from your command zone, so you don't ever have to pay the command tax for this thing, because it says place it from your command zone to the battlefield tapped. And if you cast, and that's not going to be casting it, but 3 spells, you cast Shock 3 times, and you've got your entire hand for free. That card's broken. Badger of Time. This guy allows you to do the same thing almost. Pay 3 life, and then you can pay 1, and then pay 1 to put it back on the battlefield. Once the battlefield tapped. When it enters battlefield, exile target creature you don't control, and then when this creature enters, returns to when that creature returns to the battlefield with 2 -1 counters. Wait. Exile target creature to control whenever it returns to the battlefield with 2 -1 counters. Nah, not great. Not nearly as good as the first one. Pile of dog. Nickel Spear Dragon, Kailos Nicobolus. Each permanent. Oh my, this could also be very broken. Per each permanent spell you cast costs 3 color, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 green, less for each permanent you control that type. So if you control 3 enchantments, all your spells cost 3 blue less, cost 3 black less, and 3 green less. Yeah, that was broken. Yes, that's broken. It's not the best card, but still, yikes. Alright, Wizard of Grass. Wizard of Fire, Wizard of Ice, Dark Wizard, and Elf Argets. This one, at the beginning of your upkeep, you get is a 0/1 plant, and you can sacrifice a plant to give each opponent a poison counter. So basically if you happen to get 10 plant counters or you're building a plant deck, you win the game with this guy. Or you win in 2 turns because of the context of if you're playing an entire green deck, you get 5 plant tokens on the field, make your opponent lose a bunch of life. And it's pretty good. You're going to get at least in 3. You can get this at least in 5 turns at the latest. Wizard of Flame does something similar, although this is also one of those cards you can play from the battlefield for free. Not for free from your hand, from your command zone. At the beginning of your upkeep, place a fire counter on Wizard of Fire, then deal 1 damage, or whatever the amount of damage of fire counters on this creature, to all creatures on the battlefield. Let me destroy all the creatures. And you don't even have to play it, and you can play it for the command tax thing. If you can pay it for 6 life instead of the land cost, or you can pay it for 3 red mana if you want to do that. You can just kind of reset. Okay, I'm going to wipe the field, board wipe of everything that has 4 or less power. Do it again, do it again, do it again. And if you somehow are able to proliferate, might have to find new friends. Alright, next card we got is Wizard of Ice, similar. At the beginning of upkeep, you place a stone counter on each creature on the battlefield, except for creatures with hexproof. So this creature can't get it. Every creature that has hexproof cannot have it. I guess technically it's round 2, but normally that's not really a thing anymore. But that doesn't mean much, except if the creature does tap, like its turn to attack, it has to wait a certain number of turns. Actually, it has to wait basically an infinite amount of turns, most likely, because at the first turn, you have your creature. 1 creature. If the creature attacked or tapped or anything, it has a stun counter of your upkeep. It only does your upkeep, so it's still going to take some time, but that's still pretty powerful. Dark Wizard. Dark Wizard says each player plays with the top card revealed. Okay. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, each player loses life equal to the life. No. That player loses life equal to the top. I did put 2 in there for some reason. Each player loses life. And that player loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost. So if it costs 5, they lose 5 life. You can also pay 1 to make each player a mill card. It's like, oh, that only costs 1. I'd rather you get more of it. Oh, that still costs 1. And it doesn't. And you can do it 5 times. So you can mill your entire opponent's deck out, or you can just wait until you get to a point where, oh, now we got 4. Okay, that's more reasonable. You lose 4 life. Kill him pretty quickly, right? Alright, Alpha Power. I got to go around a little bit more here. Give me some trouble now that I have does not like me doing that. Hold on. Maybe I'll just do it this way. For the last 5 cards, we'll just do it this differently. This card says, a little bit closer. So this card says, when this creature enters the battlefield, yes, command, vigilance, and then you can also tap it to add green mana equal to Elf of Power's power, whatever its attack is, into your mana pool. And you can pay 2 to put one counters on it. So eventually you got a blotch of mana. It's an Elf Mystic. Gauntlet of Power is similar. Gauntlet of Power does a very similar effect. It says it's the same thing. It's actually really the same thing, other than that it has haste and it will require you to tap it to put it. So you can technically do an infinite, if you happen to make infinite mana on the first one, you could make an infinite amount of, put an infinite number of green mana on it. This one you have to actually do some more stuff because it will give you 3. But, yeah. Angel of Power. Once it gets to it. Is something similar. This one also allows you to just tap it. It also has flying. It's a 3/3 flying with 5. You can tap it to add as much white as this creature's power, so it could be 4. And it adds 3 regularly. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be whatever amount of mana it costs. So eventually you can get a huge creature buff. I did the wrong order, but that's fine. Then we got Giantess of Power. It's the last card I created, the second last card I created. This is a little bit weaker, It has a lot, though, because of the context. It adds blue equal to its power -5. I wonder why. It is a 7/7 giant mystic. I don't understand why it's a giant. But yeah, it adds a bunch of blue mana to your mana pool. And you only have to pay 1 to give it more counters. So think of it this way. It costs regularly 4 to get on the field. If you happen to pay 4 blue mana, let's just say you only have 1 blue deck, you got 4 extra power. It's going to give you a bunch of mana. Basics. I think this card's actually pretty broken. Let's go to Zombie of Power, which is a little complicated. We got one more card after this, and we'll be ending the stream right after that. Oh, it is. Oh, it has Death Touch. It is also equal to its toughness, though. It does say it's toughness. So, but it requires you to pay 5 to put 2/1 counters on this creature. If you make it a 4/4 creature, so basically it's 2/2 normally. It has Death Touch. It does cost a ton of mana, but it does mean if you happen to make this creature more and more powerful, and there's ways to do it, you've got a lot of mana source. And there are things in black that make it a lot more powerful, I think. One final card. The final card we will be going over here is the first card I made, and this is the last card. I think this card might be the most broken card I've got, I think, because of what it's because of what it does. It says it's Flying and Vigilance for one thing. That's pretty good. When you pay life to cast this card, it's as a Line of Treachery, or activating the ability of a creature, each opponent loses 3 life. And guess what you can do? Pay 3 life. You have to have a target. But that is pretty huge. Because you can pay 3 life to exile a creature your opponent controls, or yeah. I don't even want to go over to the fact of what happens. But basically, you exile target creature for 3 life, and your opponent loses 3 life. And if you exile every creature your opponent controls, you basically almost always do it. Each opponent will lose 3 life, and you do have to pay life, and you can pay life to cast it itself. But that is huge, and it's Flying and Vigilance, so basically, you can do 3 damage to your opponent each turn. You can exile creatures your opponent controls by paying life. And your opponent will lose life whenever you do pay life. So, yeah. Its card's probably pretty broken. That is going to be it for this stream. I'm going to look at my thing. I don't think I have a... You're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to look at it anyways. So, there will not be a stream next week. I'm taking that week off. And then the next 2 weeks, I have Pokemon Emerald Rogue. That is next week. And I believe going into May, March, which I haven't actually updated in March, I'll update that eventually. I'll be doing Enchanted Cave Part 4, Episode 4. Pokemon Rogue will be the next week, and then I'll be doing a game that I've actually played before. I just didn't get to do anything because it wasn't actually available. And that will be, we'll go for the next month. I have not put those up yet, but I will Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.